Well, for years we had a Messiah sing in one of our small towns, but COVID kind of made it go away. And it came back just a couple of weeks ago. It was different though. Usually it was in the dance palace, but this time it was in a restaurant that had closed a year ago. And I was afraid that it was going to be all cobwebby and weird. But when I got there, I was really eager, 25 minutes early. It was packed with eager people and eager listeners, and you should have seen the elegance. There were pyramids of persimmons and pomegranates and hyacinths. There were drapes of evergreens. There were drapes of fabric. There were beautiful paintings. There were golden sconces. Quite an amazing turnaround. Now, I immediately looked for my section. You should know I'm a tenor. I mean, I used to be a soprano when I was very young, but then I dropped into alto, but there were too many of them. And then I said I could be a tenor. It's an interesting part. And what you should know about me is I can't read music. I don't know how it escaped me. I know the piece, but I need somebody to feed me the notes. So I looked at all this kind of small clump of prospective tenors. And I said, does anyone know what they're doing? And they all looked like that. And then somebody pointed out a guy and said, I've sung with him in barbershop. He's good. And I sidled up next to him and I said, can I stand next to you? And he said, yes, in a very nice full voice. And then it was time for us to sing We Rose as a chorus. And then I noticed that his back was to me, and he had a tablet with a score on it, and he was leaning over his 8-year-old daughter. He was feeding her notes, and I was up a creek. And what was going to happen? Well, I just listened for a slightly feeble tenor part behind me, and when I heard a note, I jumped on it and I sang because I kind of know the shape of the notes. But then the tenor part kind of disappeared. However, in front of me was, it turns out, the son of this good singer who had abandoned me, a bass. I could be a bass. I was a bass. I sang bass. And then when that disappeared and there didn't seem to be anything right next to me, I said, what the hell? And I said, the important thing is to, pardon the pun, get a handle on this music and make it sing. And so I could sing soprano an octave below. And as long as I didn't come in during a silence or I didn't use the wrong note, it was the way to get the music flowing. I didn't tell you about the orchestra on our left-hand side. It had a trumpet because the trumpet must sound. It had kettle drums because we need them for the Hallelujah chorus. It even had a bassoon. It turned out she was the wife of the singer who abandoned me. And then on the right-hand side, there were soloists with a long gray wig and a frock coat, another in a tricorn and a frock coat, the women in beautiful resplendent clothing. What a glorious time we did done have. And we got to sing the Hallelujah chorus quite twice. People know it. They can belt it out. First where it belongs, and then just before we leave, a huge hallelujah, King of Kings, Lord of Lords. We lorded it up. We kinged it up in the very best sense. And then it was over, and we all went away just tingling, full of Handel. Thank you, George Friedrich. But the most important thing was releasing what I thought I was supposed to be doing and just letting the music carry me and everyone else out into the world. Thank you.